Brutally honest. Ain't nothing but being brutally honest. Coming at you with another video. What's up, everybody? Let's welcome Flave. No, I'm just playing. Flave. How's it going, Flave? They've been saying your name for months, man. You must be the talk of the month, the troll of the month, man. So I just haven't heard of that name, and I'm like, who the hell is Flave? You've been popping all the friends, streams and all that stuff, man. So you must be doing something right.
You know, man, it's just it just seems like a lot of the YouTube world especially is just kind of primarily people that are Trey, believers. And, I don't want to say I'm not a Trey believer, but he's got to show me something to believe in first before I'm going to say he's the second coming,
Yeah, we got to see some more games out of him. But, you went from being the Jimmy guy, at first. But what changed the tune? What changed the tune from last season? Because you were just talking about Jimmy.
Well, I guess, my whole thing was that I wanted the best quarterback on the roster right now to play. And to me, there was no question between Jimmy or Trey who that was. Again, I'm not saying Jimmy was incredible. I'm not calling him elite, but I think, somewhere 12 to 15-ish is fair for Jimmy, depending on, the year. Like last year, I think he was probably closer to 12 while he was playing. But in years past, maybe closer to 15. He clearly, makes a lot of dumb mistakes and everything, but he did a lot of stuff well. And I just don't think anybody who is a terrible quarterback can win like he did. If you got a shitty quarterback, you're not going to win like the Niners did. I don't care how good the team is. He had to have been doing something right, and I think he did a lot right. I think he got probably more credit than he deserves from outside of the league or outside of the 49er fan base, but then not enough credit that he deserved from the Niners fan base, who I think just kind of wanted somebody to blame for all their frustrations, and he makes the most sense.
As far as winning percentage, he's won the most games as a starter, but just never stayed healthy. That was my only issue with him.
Same,
I know it's been the problem with him, and I guess you can say the same with Trey. He got injured too, but I was kind of against Brock Purdy when he first came in. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? And I think I remember you saying that you had a receipt of you trashing on Brock Purdy. Say, who's this bum? Get him out of here, or some shit like that, right?
Me?
Yeah, you showed an old tweet. You were showing an old tweet before. You were criticizing him before, but you weren't like a backstabber. You were just going by how you saw it at first.
No. I saw him play in one preseason game. And I started texting everybody. I said, this guy's the best quarterback on the team. After the first preseason game, I basically, at first my first text was, this guy is a much better passer than Trey is already. And I said, I think there's going to be a point in the future where I can see Trey getting injured when the Niners are kind of mediocre and Brock Purdy's going to come in. And we're going to go on a run with Brock Purdy, was my text after the first preseason game. After the second preseason game is when I said, this guy's even better than Jimmy.
Oh,
Um,
okay. I guess I
yeah,
must have misread wrong because I think you said before you were on to that you were kind of criticizing a little on the pick at first, but I think we all change. But
no, no,
okay,
yeah, yeah. That was one that I had right. But at the same time, I've had my fair share of wrong ones too. Don't get me wrong, but as at least currently, I think Purdy is one that I uh, kind of knew right away. Just seeing him at first. I mean, I'm like, dude, this guy's a gunslinger, man, and he's not scared at all.
seems like a gutsy quarterback. He has a lot of experience. Played at Iowa State, which is not a bad competition. Big 12 is pretty good competition. You get some good. He played 4 years down there, so being the last pick of the draft is beyond surprise. I mean, he could have gone a little higher. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's just the size, the measurables, whatever. I think it's overrated. The way how it worked for me to give Brock respect was, once he started to play more, I had less to judge on him. But a healthy Brock Purdy, what could have been against the Eagles? We'll never know. I mean, I know there was a chance he could have came from behind. He did play the game where he came from behind, and that was
Mm-hmm.
against a crappy Raiders team. But still, they wanted to see how he can come from behind. Would
Yeah.
Brock Purdy have come back from that game against the Eagles if he wasn't injured?
I mean, you asked me, I think 100%. It's crazy to me that people are kind of reluctant to say that the Niners would have won that game. I see it the other way. I mean, I see that they were gifted the first touchdown that they got by it was a poor call by the refs and giving them that catch, and then Shanahan ultimately deserves the blame for not throwing the flag. We can discuss whether he was right and what he was thinking. I mean, obviously it was wrong. He should have thrown the flag, but that was a gift. They got a gift touchdown no matter how you look at it. They shouldn't have had that. And then their third touchdown was a gift because Josh Johnson couldn't catch a snap. And so, and then we managed to score a touchdown with Josh Johnson basically just running it. We couldn't even complete a pass, hardly. And so, it should have been 7-7 at halftime of that game, and we couldn't even pass the ball. So I think we would have ran all over him, and I think we would have threw all over him. I think we would have won that game easily, to be honest. Not easily, but maybe 31 to 24, something like that. Where the score might have been even closer than it than it ended up being.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Brock struggle in the beginning. That was before he got injured, but still, we saw how Brock played against that Cowboys stingy defense. I mean, like no disrespect to the Eagles, but I think Cowboys defense was pretty damn stingy compared to the Eagles.
Dude, that Cowboys defense was legit, man. And I think, that was the toughest game that I've ever seen the Cowboys play. I mean, you take a look at that game from the year prior when we played them at their place. I mean, we were like, running all over them from the first drive of the game. They couldn't stop us, and we almost pulled off one of our games where we give them the game back at the end and almost choked it away. But we held on. But they weren't scary at all. Their defense can, um, uh, you know, hang with us. Last year was completely different, man. That was a gutsy game by them. I just think the secondary of the Eagles was going to have a really tough time, and with our guys. And I see, us. I don't think we could have done quite what KC did to them, but I think we could have come pretty close in terms of our offensive production. I think we were going to put up a lot of points. Kyle Shanahan knew it. Usually he wants to set up his pass game and run the ball early and keep running it early, set up his pass game late. But he came out firing in that game. And that throw to BA that Purdy got injured on, I think was going to be a touchdown if it's blocked for one more second. I think he knew that they were going to try to play the run early on, and he was just going to be able to pass for a lot of yards early on, and then maybe try to run it to kill the clock towards the end. So it was kind of going to go reverse, where he was going to pass it early to set up the run later on.
It would have, but at that game we just needed that one guy to throw a deep ball, and we didn't get that because Brock
Yeah.
Purdy was coming off an injury, and we could have seen what they got with McCaffrey, but we never got a chance to let him be a quarterback.
Yeah. This is one thing I will say though. Chief, do you hear an echo, or is it just in me?
I think it's just in you, but I think I can hear okay.
Okay. The one thing I will say where, I'm with you. I think you kind of mentioned, like, in terms of Brock's height and, physical attributes or lack of, your prototypical kind of quarterback height and what you would hope to see. The one thing, like, I don't care in terms of how he plays football. To me, that's overrated, like you said early on. But the one thing where I think it does make a difference is you look at in terms of like durability and that sort of thing where, if that's Trey Lance at 6'4" and he takes that same hit, dude, his arm is up here and he's getting hit like, down here. And he's probably not injured on that play like Brock Purdy is. And so for me, I think, when one of the fair knocks on Purdy is the lack of height from a durability perspective. And, his arm isn't hit there if he's, 5 inches taller. And he's probably healthy if that's not the case. And so with a shorter quarterback, I like to see a much better O-line, which is something that they didn't even address this offseason, really. And so that's the concern for the height for me, not in terms of how he's going to play and that sort of stuff, because I think that's overrated. But
I mean, as far as the offensive line, I mean, we can have some question marks on quite a few spots, but I mean, the right tackle spot is probably going to be the one question mark. The center position, I still think Jake Brendel's overrated, and I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but I made Jake Brendel block me on Twitter because I called his out and asked him what kind of blocking did he did against Atlanta, what he could have did. He didn't even answer that question, so he took the cheap route.
You had him on or just sent him a tweet?
I sent him a tweet and just sent him I sent him the clip of what he did against the Falcons. I told him what you did wrong right there, and I was trying to like show him you could do a little better on that blocking. But nothing against him. If he just bulks up more muscles and start getting better at the position, then I don't got no problem with him.
Yeah, man. I mean, just I to be honest, man, I am just new to discovering your content and. But just in our brief sort of discussions, it's been amazing to me how many guys you've been able to get on. And I remember I asked you about, I'm like, how are you getting these guys on here? And you're just hustling, man.
It's all about reaching out. It's like getting aggressive, go the extra mile. That's what I do. So like, dude, Spencer Burford was like one of my first draft interviews because that's when I started doing some draft content and getting a lot of these guys on my show. And now he's a starting right tackle. He could be a Pro Bowl guard, I mean, at the next level.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of guys I've interviewed in the past. I mean, recently it was Lincoln Kennedy, like almost a week ago, which he's a good dude.
What's your thoughts on Burford? What you think he takes a step up this year? What does he do this year?
I think he takes a step up this year because he's already learning the playbook. He's bulking up more muscle, so that means he's going to get better at the position. When I got a chance to interview him, this guy tells me what he needs to work on, and he wants to beat it to the point where he doesn't have to worry about it. But he trains a lot harder. So even when I've tried to reach out to him, he's already telling me I'm focused on training. I'm going to get to this level. And I believe the sky's the limit for this kid. I think he'll make a strong leap.
We need it, man. If those rookies from last year step up, we might be okay. If they don't, it's going to be, Allen. Allen might be our quarterback soon.
Oh man, Brandon Allen. Do we have to go with Greg Papa's little hype guy again? I mean, I guess so. But what's your reason why? What is your doubts against Trey Lance? Like, I've seen a lot of your tweets and you're trying to put stats and all the other stuff, but what's your reason why you doubt him?
I think so. And I like that you answer that question. Like, why do you doubt Trey Lance? Because like, a lot of people will say, like, why do you hate Trey Lance? It's like, I don't hate Trey Lance. If anything, I think he, is a very good kid. I think he's a very hard worker. I think he's smart. I think he's got a ridiculously strong arm. And he's got great physical attributes. And so there's a lot that you like and a lot going for him. And, this isn't like Zach Wilson where he just seems like a little punk. And, I don't like the person, Zach Wilson, like it's not like that at all for me. But in terms of like why I doubt him as a football player, um, I think there's a lot of reasons. And, I think I go back and I kind of look at, why the why most people like Trey Lance. And I think a lot of people kind of, hyped themselves up after he was drafted number 3 and, just figured that the Niners saw something special in him. And this is why they drafted him number 3 and all of that stuff. And then you go watch his college film and like, you got to remember that um, North Dakota is like the Alabama of the FCS. It's like they have won, at the time Trey Lance was there, they won 8 out of 10 like national championships or something crazy. Like they are the place that, you go to if you're like an elite talent, but there's something that's preventing you from going to like a legit D1 sort of program. But you still have NFL aspirations. And they're like one of the few schools in the FCS, I feel like, that does it, or at least does it to that extent. And so they have typically much better talent than every other team. And, you look at Alabama, I think they're very similar in that when you get a quarterback from Alabama, because they have so much talent, a lot of times it makes it hard to truly like, evaluate the quarterback, because you're like, wait a second, is this dude really good, or is he really good because he's got the best O-line and the best receivers and the best running backs and that sort of stuff, And so that makes it very hard to evaluate Trey Lance. The other thing is, especially in the run game, you can't really tell like how good of a runner he is, because he might just be such a better athlete for that talent that he's playing against. When you put him in with, D1 elite athletes or in the NFL, you kind of realize, wait a second, a lot of the things that made this dude good back in the FCS, like isn't quite translating yet, the fact that he's not 2-3 tenths of a second faster is a big deal in the NFL. The fact that he's not, 20 pounds heavier is a big deal in the NFL and that sort of thing. Not to say that Trey Lance is like a small dude, but to carry the type of runner where he was, I mean, you saw it in his first game versus the Cardinals when he tried to run it in at the goal line, and then all of a sudden he's met up by like an NFL defender, and it's like, holy shit, in the FCS, Trey Lance trucks that dude, and it's not even close, and so it's a whole nother level. I think in the run game, it's huge. And then in the pass game, you also look, I'm not going to say, you can look through and find some nice balls that he threw. And if you're accurate, you're accurate. The thing that scares me about Trey Lance, and just from making it difficult to evaluate him per point of view, is so many times, dude, his receivers are wide open. And, not when your receiver is wide open, not only does it make it a much easier throw, just from being a relaxed, sort of perspective of, this dude's wide open, I just got to give him the ball. But you also can miss in other areas, and, your receiver can make a play that he might not be able to make if there's a defender nearby. And so there's just a lot of things that I think make it hard to evaluate someone like that. But when I watched his college film, I see a lot of, passes that are off in terms of, again, just not being super accurate, where especially on the run, where he'll be rolling out and he throws to a dude that's wide open in the flat, and he's hitting him. The dude's making a diving catch with no one within like 10 yards of him. He's missing a lot of those short and intermediate passes. I think when I see him throw the deep ball, which he throws, probably better than anybody we've had in a while on the team. I think it's because, again, he can in his head. He's very comfortable with throwing that pass because he knows if he misses long, it's going to be incomplete. And he's a very cautious quarterback. A lot of people think of him as some sort of a gunslinger because he takes the occasional deep shot. But I think he's a very, very cautious quarterback. And he's timid. He looks timid in the NFL, but he likes throwing the deep ball because, one, it doesn't require as much touch. Really, he can just kind of fling it. Like, he could throw it, full speed. He doesn't have to worry about taking stuff off or layering it, and he doesn't have to worry about it getting picked off if he misses. So he's comfortable and he's confident and he can let it fly. And so that's why he throws a nice deep ball. But when you see him throw like over the middle of the field or short, where he's got to take stuff off and layer it or put touch on it, that's where he struggles. And unfortunately, in a Kyle Shanahan offense, people call Purdy dink and dunk and that sort of thing. Like, Kyle Shanahan loves to dink and dunk. Like, that's 95% of his passing offense is like dink and dunk and short to intermediate. And so I think in this offense, if you want to succeed, like, that's what Kyle Shanahan wants. He wants someone that can get the ball out of his hands quickly to his playmaker, short and intermediate. And then, yeah, of course, he wants the deep threat, but he'd rather have the guy that can do the short and intermediate stuff, and he'll give up the deep threat as opposed to the guy that can only do the deep threat but isn't being consistent short intermediate.
Well, I mean, that's what he's considered as a project because that's what the Niners did. They rolled the dice with him. I mean, there's a lot of these quarterbacks that took some time to develop. I know if I throw rocks and say Josh Allen, but I've seen Josh Allen play at Ridley College. So I've seen this guy go from a JUCO college and go a couple years at Wyoming. Couldn't stay healthy. The accuracy needed some work, and it takes a lot of these training in the offseason. So when Trey kind of took some training in this offseason, I'm feeling that the mechanics are going to have to improve. The percentage has to get better. The short passes, like you said, because the fastball, the way he throws the ball, if he throws in those short passes, it hurts the receiver's hands. So you want to be able to have your touch up pretty good to where he can throw a short intermediate pass, and sometimes he can utilize his deep ball passes and play smart at points at that position. But, for the quarterback in Kyle Shanahan's offense, you said they had to be a dink and dunk. I think as long as they can throw in the intermediate plays or throw in within 20 yards maybe or a little deeper more. But when you saw Brock Purdy throw a deep pass, I think it was almost 40 yards, right?
Which one? The in versus Oakland?
Yeah, one of those passes.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't think he's quite a dink and dunk like everybody says. I think he's a lot more of a better thrower than Jimmy at this point in his career. Like, when you saw Brock Purdy play, he didn't look scared. He looked like the confidence, the dog mentality, that's something that you don't see much as a late rounder. Like, you see guys like Tom Brady who came as a 6th-round pick.
Right.
Wasn't getting a chance until this career,
Yeah, and you look at Purdy throw the ball, man. His touch and timing are, unreal, man. They really are. And I mean, he's an unbelievable processor. Where he knows where guys are going to be open way better than Jimmy. Way more than Jimmy. He's just you can just tell, man. He knows the offense, and I mean, that's with no reps really all of last year and, 8 weeks of being in the offense. The ability to understand the offense at that point was insane, but just his timing. And that's where I see the difference. Like, Jimmy didn't really have great timing. He had a quick release that made up for actually having bad timing. But Brock has like amazing timing. Where the ball is just there as soon as, just right when it needs to be, which makes up for having, mediocre arm talent. And so, if he had Jimmy's timing, he wouldn't be in the NFL. Because you would need either a quick release or an amazing arm to make up for poor timing. And he doesn't, he wouldn't have. I mean, his release is pretty quick, but to make up for his arm, it would have to be like Jimmy quick, which he doesn't have. But luckily, he has the timing.
Well, I mean, the way he gets away from pressure, like he even looks straight to the field and see who's open. Like there's times where he will have to, like even if he holds the ball a little bit, sometimes there's nobody there that you can't see. But one thing that makes him so good is he can sometimes run and get a decent amount of yards, or maybe just run away and try to look for that open guy. And it just seems like the confidence is there. So it's like, you're not like the only one I had a debate with. I actually had a debate this Jet Scout guy, Daniel Kelly. This guy kind of was pretty high on Brock Purdy, and he just didn't seem impressed with Trey for last year.
I've actually seen it, some of his stuff on Twitter, and I haven't seen him in a while. Though I don't think I actually follow him. I don't know, but I don't know what he was. When did you talk to him?
Almost last year, but I'm probably going to have him once again pretty soon, just so I can get. So I like to mix up some debates with everybody else. I mean, I don't expect us to all agree on everything, but for your takes, man, I get it. But a lot of people are overhyping Brock, like they're even putting him in the conversation as Patrick Mahomes. I want to see more of Brock Purdy. Yes,
that's Trey.
Trey's got the hype too, but I got to see more games too. So it's like I can't just judge by what I see. I had to see a full season. Okay, Zach Wilson, for example, he played an entire full season, so he is graded as a bust because he played a lot of games. Trey Lance, it's hard for me to grade him. 4 games, incomplete. It's incomplete.
Yeah, and I won't call him a bust, and maybe someone can find something where I did, but if that's the case where I'm calling him a bust, it's probably just because I'm going back and forth with someone who eventually gets to a level where we're saying things we don't really mean, sort of things, but on Twitter in a Twitter war. But for the most part, I don't call him a bust. My feeling though is that yes, he's improving. His what you said, where he showed up to camp and his release 100% looks 1,000 times better just in one off season. And this is coming off a severe injury. And so, but I just feel like in order for Trey to be successful, there's a lot of things that need to go right. But in terms of his passing ability, he's got to improve accuracy. And in order to do that, first, he needed to make mechanical changes. And so he did that. Yeah, we'll see if, going to live action and, just in one off season, if they're improved enough for him to be more accurate, we'll see. But let's assume that they are. The next thing that he has to do is go do it in real games and get confidence. And, once he has better mechanics and the confidence, then the last thing he has to do is go figure out how to win NFL games, because this is the NFL. A lot of games come down to that final possession, and it's all about, this is where Mahomes and Brady and everything. And
that's Rodgers, where they make their plays out. Like, that's where it makes, like, these are the kind of guys that are made for this big stage. And we've seen Brock Purdy played in some big competition. We've seen some of that sample, half a season sample. It's like, I want to see more, but I want to see what we can get with Trey, but we don't know. So, I see that it's a divided Twitter community, but I'm not discrediting Brock Purdy. I'm not saying he made a strong case. If he's healthy, I'm not going to say without a doubt. A healthy Brock Purdy at this point, if he can be healthy for week 1, then I don't have a problem.
Yeah. My biggest thing though with Trey is just that I think it's going to take, a minimum of 3 years, which was funny. It's like everyone kind of agreed to this when he was drafted as a rookie, was, this is going to take 3 years. He needs about 3 years of experience and blah, blah. Well, that was the correct take. But the problem is now we're in year 3 and he only really has a few games of experience. He still needs those 3 years in order to get those things I just talked about, which is confidence and learning how to win games. But because he's in year 3, people now are like, well, shoot, if he needs 3 years of experience still, we don't even know if he's going to be here in 3 years. He probably won't because of his contract and how much he costs. It's rare. It's unlikely unless he does something in these next 1, to 2 years that he's going to be here. So, but he still needs those 3 years. And that's sort of my problem is the time to do something with them, if you were really going to do it, was year 1. They tried to do it last year, which might have been okay. But after he kind of lost last year, now it's like, man, because the Super Bowl window that we're in is
a couple more years.
Yeah, it's closing. So it's like, I feel like if you're truly going to go to Trey, you might as well blow up the whole team and start over so that when Trey is actually ready, maybe we're coming back around again with younger guys. Because I just think we're going to miss the window because by the time that Trey may or may not be good, these guys are going to be past their prime.
Yeah, this is the window because of the rookie quarterbacks. We got these contracts, so it's a cheaper bargain. And there was this argument that you were saying on Twitter about if Sam Darnold does so well, why not we trade Trey? Why do you feel that it's necessary to trade him at this point? Even let's say hypothetically Sam Darnold is like somehow in there.
So I guess my thinking, there's a few reasons. My thinking would be, look, if secretly the Niners are thinking to themselves, look, we know we're not going to be able to win a Super Bowl with Trey Lance because he needs years of experience and he's just not ready to go win a Super Bowl. He doesn't, Trey Lance has never led a game-winning drive in his entire life. Not in high school, not in college, not now. He's never led a game-winning drive. And, I'm not saying that he can't, but I'm saying that, again, this is like showing up to your job as, doing what, you're an attorney, let's say, showing up to work and you need to go win a trial, where somebody's life is on the line and you need to, go win the O.J. Simpson trial, let's say. And you're showing up and you have no clue, really what you're doing because you haven't learned. Like, that's not how jobs work. You need to go and get experience and build your way up to figure out how you're doing how you're going to do the job and then you're going to be successful. And it's nothing against Trey. That's just how it works, man. You need experience to be able to do this stuff and learning how to win games and leading game-winning drives when you got to be precise and know your stuff is the same way. And so I think it's going to take time. And so if you're the 49ers and you're sitting there saying, man, Trey, at the end of this year, we're going to have to make a decision on his 5th-year option. Right now, we realistically don't think we can win a championship with him. And so, he's a $10 million backup, which is expensive for a backup that you don't really believe that you can win with. And so if you could, now that I think it's after June 1st, if you were to trade him or get rid of him, you're going to save roughly $4 million against the cap. Potentially you can get something back and you can potentially go out and get an acquisition. Like last year, I mean, they got CMC for, I think, less than $1 million against the cap. You can go and get a quality player that will help you win a championship right now, as opposed to having Trey Lance, who you don't believe is going to help you on your bench. And so that would be sort of my reason for doing it. Again, though, that's if you are the 49ers and you actually do think you can win with Trey Lance, then keep him, because we saw last year that you need as many quarterbacks that you believe you can win with as possible. Because if you get down to Josh Johnson again, you might as well have me in there.
You don't want that issue going on. And this is what I was trying to make a debate argument with you. It's like, dude, why would you want to trade this guy when he's on a rookie contract, bro? Whether Brock is a starter or not, bro, whether his son Darnold for some reason comes out of the blue sky and looks like the best slice of bread in the world, like they call him the greatest thrower, like if he somehow looks good too, why would we want to trade a guy on a rookie contract? It's viable because the quarterback position, we've had injuries under Shanahan. Shanahan does not value pass protection for whatever reason. Outside of Trent Williams, a lot of our offensive linemen are not quite good pass blockers. They're more run blockers, if I'm being real with you.
So if I guess let's say though that Brandon Allen was, let's say that you know Brock, Trey, and Sam all went down, and Brandon Allen is our quarterback. You think we can win a Super Bowl with Brandon Allen?
Oh my God, Brandon Allen. Is that like our hope, bro? We gotta hope this guy can complete more than one pass in training camp, dude. Because I mean, he has to be the Nick Foles, right?
Well, I guess my point was going to be like imagine if you had the same amount of faith that Trey could win you a Super Bowl as you did with Josh Johnson, or maybe a little bit more with Trey. Like, imagine if that's really what you thought about Trey. Then would you want to hold on to him for 10 million, even though it's a rookie deal? It's an expensive rookie deal, but would you want to hold on to him if you really didn't believe in him? And because I think the problem is that you believe in Trey and you think that the Niners believe in Trey. And where I'm coming from is, maybe they kind of know that he's not close yet. And maybe they know that he's like a few years away. And if they have to go to him this year, that's great from an experience point of view, but they're not going to win anything if that's the case. And so if they're really all in, it makes sense to cut your losses and try to go get somebody that's going to help you this year with the money. So that's more my stance. But if they believe in him, then you keep him for sure.
Yeah, you need to have the insurance policy. But let's say Trey does look good. I mean, he has to have a good training camp in order to make a strong case, and Brock Purdy just has to be very medically clear for this. I mean, I'm not doubting Brock's ability. I know there was a lot of these tweets talking about I'm not a big Brock supporter, none of that stuff. I've actually interviewed his quarterback coach, and he gave me some good takes on what he was all about. I'm not questioning Brock. He puts the work and he gets better. He trains harder than the people he's ever coached. So when this guy tells me a lot about this kid, it speaks volume. And Sean King was even putting some praise on Brock Purdy. So there's a lot to like about him, but it's a feel great story. If they made a movie on it could have been Walt Disney if he won the Super Bowl. That would have been the greatest, but we didn't get the chance. And then
it still could be, man. Now imagine though the movie's got, instead of getting the Super Bowl right then, now it's he comes back after a crazy injury.
So a comeback story. Okay. Yeah. So if we had to go with a title of the season, it would be the comeback story of number 13, Brock Purdy comes on this Friday the 13th and comes in the rise. But then we got the almighty Trey, that trained with Patrick Mahomes. I don't know. We'll see how that works. But
I think too, man, just to go back, one thing that scares me about Trey Lance is just, you look at his numbers in high school, his passing numbers, he was averaging 120 yards a game, 11 touchdowns, 1 interception the whole season in high school in Minnesota, which, I don't know what the talent is in Minnesota, but I guarantee you this is not California or Texas or Florida type of high school football here. So, he didn't exactly light it up passing in high school. Then he gets to college. He had one game with over 250 yards passing his entire time at FCS level. Most of his games, again, he's running the ball a lot. He's more of a runner than a passer. To put that in perspective, Jimmy Garoppolo's senior year, he had games with 450 yards and 6 touchdown passes at the FCS level his senior year. And, that's what you would kind of hope to see at that level, to basically say, hey, this guy, was at the FCS, but he tore it up. He was tearing up the FCS with his arm. And, he's never really done that at any level. And that's kind of what I see when I look at him, like, this dude, he's got a great arm, but not really a natural passer. And that scares me a little bit, where I'm like, man, I wish that there was at least some games where this dude just went off, went off for 400 yards and 4 TDs, sort of thing. And so
we'll know pretty soon. We'll know whether he gets to that game. I mean, I see most of these matchups depending on what the receivers we got on that matchup. I think Seattle, you can get a 400-yard type game, just like you look at their secondary. Hopefully, they might get better, but then you look at the Rams' young secondary. That can be some more yards. Maybe we might see
sure.
that. Yeah.
But when you look at like Purdy, because you're like, man, how come Purdy has this confidence that's like, like he's been in the league for 10 years. And then you look at Trey and you're like, man, I see him trying to look confident, but he's not really confident. You can kind of see it. He's very sort of timid. And, and then you think about it, it's like Purdy in high school, I think he was like Mr. Football in Arizona. He goes to Iowa.
Iowa State, he goes to a pretty interesting program where he is the most winningest quarterback in that school history.
Yeah, and as a freshman, he's tearing it up. I mean, I think his freshman year was his best year, and plays 4 years. And by the time he gets out, man, like he knows who he is. He's got a lot of confidence, that sort of thing. And then you look at these people that guys that people want to compare Trey to, like. Help me out with, there's Hurts, let's say, over in Philly. And then you got Josh Allen.
But then there's when I first saw who he was, I just had an idea that he is kind of like a much better version of Colt McCoy. Just the poise, because they're both undersized, they're both fearless, but one of them hasn't quite been out at the pros.
You talking about Purdy or Trey?
Yeah, no, Purdy. Like Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy has a little bit of the size stature of what Colt McCoy is, but the confidence is different. I think he's much more of a better version of what Colt McCoy could have been.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about Trey though.
Oh, Trey,
yeah. Well, like the thing, a lot of people like to compare him to Josh Allen and Hurts and these sorts of things. Like, yeah, like maybe if you look at the raw talent or the potential ceiling.
Josh Allen's like the closest to the ceiling that everybody's hoping for. I don't know about the Jalen Hurts. I think that Josh Allen is like they're hyping him to be, because of the arm talent, the accuracy can get better if he can get coached up on it. So,
but I don't think Trey can run like them, either of them. But I guess my whole point though is that both of those guys played a shit ton of football in college, and Trey had like one season and then he had the COVID season, which I have to give him credit. I think he used that season to his advantage in terms of his draft position. Was very smart about it. Was smart about not doing a combine where, he didn't run an official 40-yard dash and didn't, he wanted that one season of football out there and wanted to be an unknown because, the next thing you get into draft and you got Justin Fields over here or Mac over here, and you got Lance, and like, oh, Fields, he might have some work ethic issues. He might have some issues, with his processing. Mac Jones, not a good athlete, that sort of thing. But Lance, it's like, we don't know, man. We only got this one season, seemed like a great kid, and, let's go with the unknown. And I think that was a well thought out plan by Trey and his team to not put, basically have that one good college season and then not put anything else out there. I think if Trey could run a 4.40, that dude would have been at the combine running that in front of everybody, But I'm curious to know like what would have happened if he actually participated in the combine and his athletic ability was truly put under the microscope. I think he probably wouldn't have gone number 3. That's just my opinion.
I mean, it's because he was so hyped, like you said, but just 1 year of college going undefeated and not throwing a single interception, which is kind of amazing. Like, I don't know. I can't even think of a quarterback who's gone into a full season undefeated and not throw a single pick in that competition, whether it's this competition or whatever. I think it's one of the most impressive, but like you said, can it translate to the NFL, which we haven't seen? Because the competition he plays, you would say it's a smaller league. Like, because the FCC is just like It's kind of like almost playing junior college, almost, but differently.
Right.
Oh, well, we got Crocker. What?
Ah.
Oh, is that the real Crocker, man? Because I got your boy Josh Harper on my co-host show, man. We got to get you on at some point, Crocker. But yeah, I got my boy Josh Harper. We've been working on a show together, but yeah, we got to get him on pretty soon.
What's
but
up?
Yeah, always
I love
appreciate
Croc's show, man.
I like his
love
DB cuts. I want to go on his little call-in show, but I never get the link to go in, so I don't know.
It's always early though. Croc must be on the East Coast because it's always super early, which I like because it's like first thing in the morning. Yeah, but it's so early that I also don't feel like talking at 7 a.m.
Yeah, Harp's his guy, bro, because I actually do it every Wednesday with Harper. We talk behind the scenes and we try to figure out some good plans, and he gives me some good takes on the receivers. But yeah, we got to get you on, like maybe in a few weeks if you got some free time, bro. We'll get you on. But hey, it's the first time I've seen Crocker go on my comment section. I mean, it's nice, bro. I've always I had him on a couple of years ago where he was on my other channel, like almost 2 years ago. But you got Grant Cohn with the shirt that's like, come on, let me see the shirt, man. That shirt sounds funny. Oh, come on, that's not Tim Tebow. I mean, Trey can't be Tim Tebow.
Hey, man, this is a great.
So that's what Grant Cohn said. So that's what Grant
Cohn's tweet. Yeah, no, man, I'm just I'm just having fun. But
yeah. Hey, Croc, just follow me on Twitter, bro. I try to follow you. You never got back to me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Harp will get back to you pretty soon, but yeah, we got a Wednesday show. But if you get back to him, bro, we'll do something. But yeah, dude. But as far as like opinions about the quarterback position, bro, I'm not really like. I just want whoever the best guy is, Yeah, I may be a Trey supporter in some ways, but I got to give Brock the respect, man. The guy plays like a dog. Like he plays. I don't want to go too far with the comparison, but he kind of has that gutsy, like a Brett Favre, that Brett Favre, that toughness, a little. I know I'll probably get a little heat and say, what are you talking about? This guy doesn't make any mistakes, but Brett Favre was gutsy. Brett Favre wasn't scared of throwing passes.
Yeah. And, I mean, look, the one good thing about, where the quarterbacks are at here is I feel like the only quarterbacks that can't win here are really bad. Like they're not starting quarterbacks in the NFL. You look at the quarterbacks other than Jimmy and Brock and Trey. All of them have a losing record by what is it 9-36. I mean, we hear the stat all the time. I do agree. It's a system that is easier for quarterbacks to succeed in. And so that's an advantage that they have. And so I really think, my personal opinion is Brock, if he's healthy, is going to be more than fine. I think Darnold could be fine. I hope Trey, if he's in there, learns quickly, in terms of what he's doing and can just get the ball out of his hands and be accurate is the main thing. And so if he can do that, I know that they'll win games with Trey if he can just get the ball out of his hands and be accurate. And hopefully over time he would build confidence. But I think it's likely going to be 3 years before he's able to, put the team on his back and win a Super Bowl, which is what people are expecting him to do. And to me, that's totally unrealistic anytime soon.
A couple more years of our window. It depends on how we keep our team together because it has to do with the salary cap, a lot of the money and all that stuff. But we're just lucky to go through a rookie quarterback contract because you got Brock for like 3 years and then Trey, depending on the fifth-year option. I mean, Trey's got a lot of upside, got a lot of great potential. I want a quarterback who can throw in the deep ball, who can do a lot more. I mean, yes, we all want that next Patrick Mahomes. We want that Josh Allen. We want that guy. But sometimes it really depends on the system. And Brock Purdy is a perfect example of what he is. He fits the offense because he can really command the huddle, and he's well respected. Like you can tell right off the bat. Like Trent Williams even said, this guy looks like a vet out there and demands respect.
Yeah, and dude, I would love to see, more deep balls. And I get the opinion that you need the threat and that sort of thing. But when you're put in a position where it's either you throw the deep ball or you throw the short and intermediate ball accurately and on time, you've got to go with where 90% of your throws are going to be, which is short and intermediate. And,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
because how often are you throwing the ball over 35 yards a game? The people that do it most are 3 times, so.
Most of the guys who do coverages, they don't try to give up a lot of the deep plays because like when you want to, like in Kyle Shanahan's offense, it does factor into the yaks. Those guys get those little short passes and break tackles. You get your Debos, you get your Christian McCaffrey is like the best outlet receiver if you want to get a guy that can get you those extra yards. Brandon, he can get you some nice routes, but Debo's like a security blanket. He'll get that short pass, make it into something.
Yeah, you got to get them the pill and get it to them like in stride so they can run with it and that sort of thing. And so I think, in theory, yeah, it makes sense. You want the dude with the arm that's strong enough to open up the entire field, but not at the expense of giving up your short and intermediate passing game where Shanahan lives 98% of the time,
Yeah.
and so that's where Trey's got to prove that he's a lot better than he's been. And it hasn't been good. And I know, people will point to his, finger injury or his short sample size and that sort of thing. But, dude, it wasn't good in his first preseason camp. You can go back and read about that. It was a struggle then. It's been a struggle through. Like, he's got to improve it, I think. And he would tell you that. And so, I mean, that's why he's making these major changes to his mechanics. If it wasn't
he's trying to work with it. Yeah, he's trying to work on his footwork too and a lot of other stuff. And that's been one of the area of his weakness was better footwork and the release needed to be quicker. And like the mechanics, because the difference between throwing a deep ball and a short pass, it really depends on the touch up of the ball because you can have a guy that throws a short pass, but if that ball is too damn fast, it just hurts your hands right there. So
100-mile-per-hour wobble. I call it the Trey Lance Express.
Oh man, not like that, man. We gotta hope for the best. But hey, man. But as far as all that, bro, I don't see no reason to have a. I can have a debate with anybody else. I'm not gonna attack them like most content creators do nowadays. They say, "Oh, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You don't know shit about what you're talking about, dude." I'm all about fair game. If you got something to say,
for sure.
If I feel like I disagree with it, I'm gonna put it into work like I did with Daniel Kelly. Despite how I feel about his opinions, he's a good dude. I'm not gonna just take it out of personal with everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, my whole thing is, I'm gonna look at the tape, and I remember Trey Lance's first preseason game when he came out. He threw that bomb to I forget who it was, but.
Danny Gray with that deep ball.
No. That was this year, this last year. But his first preseason game ever. Remember when? And he threw like it was a play action pass to, God, I can't remember the guy's name.
Was it the tight end? Was it Charlie Warner?
No, this was like his first preseason game ever, 2021. And it was like the first time we ever saw Trey Lance.
I remember. I think I remember the receiver you're talking about. He was the one that eventually went to the Dolphins. I forget his name. I forget his name. That one receiver that we had for a short minute, but he came from the Cardinals. I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, and it was like his first play, and I'm like, wow, okay, because I did not like the trade, man. I did not like the trade. I never thought it made sense at the time. But then you see that first play and you're like, wow, okay. And then I just kept watching like the next 2-3 games. He had one amazing pass. I think it's probably his best pass to date in the NFL.
That pass right there was what resulted into a touchdown because he threw that pass to number 81, who we got from the Dolphins. Not Dolphins, I mean from the Cardinals. But he was a special teamer, but he was really fast.
I think we were playing the Raiders maybe like the third preseason game of his first year also, and he had a pass across the middle to maybe that same dude, and he just like split it through. It was a crazy pass, and
Trent
you know,
Sherfield. There you go.
Sherfield.
That was the guy. It just got out of my head a little bit because
Yeah.
he's on the Dolphins currently.
Right. And so, but then I'd say other than those two passes that first preseason game, I just kind of remember like walking away like, man, his feel for the game doesn't seem great right now. It seems inaccurate. And he just looks he doesn't look confident, and he just kind of looks like he's panicking out there a little bit. But then he had those two passes, that one in particular versus Dallas in like the third preseason game for a touchdown was insane. And I mean, just the speed that he put on this ball to get it through this little hole was insane. And so, and I think a lot of people look at that and they see like, man, if he could just, look at the ceiling, imagine the ceiling and that sort of thing. And I just kind of look at it as like, yeah, that would be great. But to get to the point where you're like that consistently, and doing it with confidence and that sort of thing, you're taking years. And I just don't believe that, if we're doing that, if we're going that route, we're basically saying, we're done trying for a Super Bowl with this core group of guys. Cause I think it's 3 years down the road, and I'm not one of these believers that you need an elite quarterback to win a Super Bowl. I think you need a good quarterback. And I think it's more difficult without one. But dude, if Jimmy's getting you, a 10-point lead in the Super Bowl, and you're giving up that lead and he's still one throw away from winning it, then you just need someone that's, a little bit better than Jimmy.
Could have at least ran the ball. Could have at least ran the ball to kill the clock, because there was what went wrong against the Chiefs game. I mean, we had opportunities to kill the clock. You could have ran it. You could have still ran it with Debo. Debo was effective. I think he had one of the best rushing percentage in Super Bowl history when he got the ball. I think he was like on pace to maybe get into 100 yards almost, but I think he was in between 50-plus yards.
Oh, yeah.
But he was effective, and we stopped using him.
Yeah, never gave it to him again. And
that was our mistake right there. And I think that's the problem right there. Like, I don't think it matters who we got at quarterback. I feel like Kyle Shanahan is the question mark of this team, because
there's
what does Shanahan need to do to get over the hump? He needs to be gutsy.
He needs to be, exactly, man. But it starts in the season, and that's the thing that would piss me off about Jimmy Garoppolo and Shanahan, would be like all season he wouldn't trust Jimmy at all to win him games. And then they were pulling out these games that were like, we're up by 3 and we're just going to run it and punt it, and hopefully our D, holds. And, basically he's not putting his trust in Jimmy, like, hey, Jimmy, go run the game or go win the game for us. But we're pulling it out because we're playing these regular season teams that we're just better than and more talented than. But then you get into a game where not only are we playing a team that's equally as talented, but we just blew a lead. We don't have momentum. And now you're saying, hey, Jimmy, go win us this game, even though I've never trusted you to do it all season long. And by the way, I'm also going to run it on 1st and 2nd down, and we're going to get a penalty. And so you're going, and it's going to be 3rd and 15, and you got to now throw it. The defense knows you're throwing it. Our offensive line, we got McGlinchey, the revolving door on the right here.
Door, the softest tissue in the damn offensive line group. And I felt like, we could have at least maybe drafted offensive linemen to compete with McKivitz too, but I think they're very high and confident with Colt McKivitz. I like Colt McKivitz if he was healthy last year.
I think that they're going to try to get someone maybe like, mid-season, sort of depending what we're doing. I mean, they freed up cap room. I don't know what that was for exactly, but we got some cap room free. I think they're keeping their options open, and they're going to go try to fill some needs, at some position. But for sure, you got someone on the opposite side of Bosa would be nice. I think, we can make improvements to the O-line, and then we'll see what happens on in the secondary on one of the sides there. I think opposite of I'm blanking on number 7. What's his name?
Oh, you mean Travarius Ward?
Yeah, Ward. Yeah, the opposite side.
Which is Delmado Lenore. He's Delmado Lenore is like I mean, he had a breakout season late in the season, so as
Yeah,
long as he gets the confidence and builds it on, I think cornerback position on the opposite. We always make those guys look good on our system, but we
for
did
sure.
sign a couple of guys who could make a great impact. I mean, Isaiah Oliver, he can either be playing the
Hmm.
nickel spot. I think he's probably like one of the top 5 or was it top 10 cornerback, but I think mostly as a nickel, he's really good.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll see. I mean, we got, dude. I mean, this roster's stacked. You just gotta hope that it's not, another 2020 year where 10 of your best players go down. And but if we can get healthy, man, I would love to just see us in the playoffs with a healthy quarterback the whole time. Just at least let me see that. Um, and uh, and let's just see what happens because we got a shot, man. That we're the NFC is down. All the good quarterback. We're only got to beat one of those quarterbacks in the Super Bowl, other than Fields or I mean, sorry, Hurts. Um,
Hurts is like the only one because he's a dual threat, but Dak, we already seen what he can be. I mean,
Dak,
Kirk, we already know, but
Hurts.
this,
I think the Lions will be nice this year. I like the Lions, but as long as you're not playing them in Detroit, I think you got a good chance that you don't want to face what's his name in the dome. But when you get him on, away games, uh, he's
yeah.
not that great.
I mean, Detroit's their defense has been suspect, but I think on paper they're looking a lot better. And I think
Yeah,
I don't get the hype on the Bears. I think Detroit's for real. They kind of made a
me
strong
too.
case last season. They could have made a strong case for the playoffs, but I think they built on for this upcoming
Yeah,
season. So I think they might be the sleeper. This may sound crazy, but I'm going to call it down the middle. My prediction is the Niners versus the Lions for the NFC Championship game. I
yeah.
think it's possible we might see that game. I don't know. I mean, if you guys think like down the road we play the Lions for the championship, just say I told you so.
I think so too, man. I like that call. And uh, I'm I'm going to go out on a limb and say, all these people are high on Seattle. I'm not high on Seattle. I think that,
Gino's just an okay quarterback. I mean, I don't know. Like their defense is still suspect. They need to improve a little
yeah,
more. And Carroll's kind of old. He still got the team, but it's just not the same.
defense is very suspect. The way I look at it is I feel like last year they should have been a 6-win team, maybe. And now they went out and proved. So I got them as like an 8-win team, maybe not. I think they're going to be improved, but because they overachieved last year, it's going to even out. So they're right around the same. We'll see if they get into the playoffs or not. But I think that they're overhyped big time. I'm not too worried about them.
Yeah, I think this season. I think this season will be a surprising because I think last year people didn't even take the Eagles seriously. So I
Yeah,
think this can be because the Packers are taking a step down. The Vikings, it's very questionable. The Bears, they are what they are, but I
hmm.
don't know. You guys may see the comment right here is do you think that way? I mean, the culture's looking different in Detroit. I think that's a team you gotta take serious.
Dude, they're going to be tough at home, man. They're going to put up a lot of points, and I think that their defense is going to be better.
And their
Um,
offense line's pretty good too. So their
their
offensive
offensive
line's
line's great.
at top 5 or something. They got some solid receiving core. Their defense, they're building a block out there. I mean,
Yeah,
they're playing for their coach pretty hard, man.
yeah. No, I think that they're going to be really good. And but yeah, I think they'll be a lot better at home than they will on the road. But we'll see.
We'll definitely see, man. But hey, it was fun chit chatting, man, bro. I know you probably got some stuff to do, but hey, we can definitely chop it up maybe down the road, bro. But hey, whenever you get a chance to build your channel, I'll be glad to check it out, bro.
Oh, thank you, man. Yeah, I appreciate that. And I don't even know where to start with that. This is my first time coming on for like a full show. So thank you so much for having me on, man. And um, you know, and I just want to say too, like, the one thing I notice is that with all 49er fans, I think aside from the quarterback situation, we all kind of tend to agree on a lot more stuff, but because the quarterback situation controls 90% of the narrative. It feels like we disagree on 90% of the stuff. In reality, we're only disagreeing on 10% of the stuff. And, we agree on 90% of the stuff. And so, like I always say, man, if I was at a game or if I was out in public and there was a dude here that love Trey Lance, and we, fought about who should be quarterback and that sort of thing. And some, Lions fan came and started talking shit to the dude that loved Trey Lance. I'm going to back up my Niners.
Yeah, I could see
fan.
that. I could totally understand that. But for anybody else that want to find your platform where they can find you, man, just let them know where they can find your Twitter, or if you got your YouTube channel. Be glad to leave a comment on my channel so they can subscribe you too if you want.
Oh, for sure, man. Yeah, I don't have a YouTube yet, but you can find me at my own Flave on Twitter, and yeah, we'll. Sorry, dude, the freaking TV just turned on. Hold on.
It's all good, man.
But yeah, man. But I appreciate you having me on, dude.
Yeah, anytime, bro. Hey, it's been nothing but positive, We didn't go at each other. We didn't say this guy's an idiot. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Oh, where you're at? I'm gonna come and get you. Nah, we didn't do that.
Yeah. No, man, and I mean, I think people have this image that like I hate Trey Lance and that sort of thing, and it's just really not the case. But I just, it just kind of, I just don't understand thinking that he is better than people who have, actually done it or done more than he is, and or thinking that he's good right now. I'm more of like, hey, you got to show me before I'm gonna, prove it. Yeah, and it's hard for me to believe that, after 2+ years there in San Francisco, like if he was the truth, man, like the Niners want to play him with what they've invested in him. The Niners would love for him to be the guy and that sort of thing. And the fact that they're making him compete with Darnold for QB2 right now and haven't exactly shown a lot of confidence in the fact that they think that he's, going to be the guy. To me, it kind of validates what my eyes have been telling me, that this dude is probably years away, and we need to pump the brakes and be honest about Trey and what he is right now. But so many people, it's become more than just who's the better quarterback. It's become, a lot more about maybe being right or they even turn it into other stuff that to me makes no sense. And if we were the I don't know who is, if we were the Bears or whoever like last year, then I would be saying, play Trey because we're going to suck no matter what. And let's get Trey experience and let's plan for 3 years from now when we might be a good team. And it doesn't make sense to play Purdy when Purdy might get you 6 wins and Trey only gets you 4. Because either way you're going to suck, and 6 wins probably hurt you more because you're going to have a worse pick next year anyway. So let's play Trey and get him experience. So in 3 years, maybe it all comes together. But when we're sitting here with a roster that could pretty much get any starting quarterback to the playoffs and, probably most good quarterbacks to the Super Bowl, as long as they're healthy, let's just play the best quarterback this year and take a shot at it and try to enjoy this window that we have with this roster, because we should know more than anybody how rare it is to have a team like this, man. It does, it comes around once a decade, maybe if you're lucky. So
yeah, we just got a few years of the window, so I'm just hoping we can capitalize and cash in for that championship. But we'll
I know, man.
But man, it was a blast, bro. We'll catch up sometime, bro. But hey, for anybody else that has a different thought of Flave, bro, I think Flave is just very reasonable on his argument. It may not be correct like all the time, we may not be correct all the time, but we at least will come to the same terms. We all want what's best for the Niners.
For sure, man. Thank you again.
Yeah, no problem, bro. For everybody else, catch you guys later.